Throughout the world over history, cultures have put enormous resources into creating rites of passage for young males in order to prevent the young male's aggression, which is not yet aided by wisdom or love, from destroying the community.
So A Band of Brothers comes from the St. Crispin's Day speech in Shakespeare's Henry V. And essentially it's a call to arms. It's a rallying cry of no matter how hopeless the situation is, it is important that we bring the best that we can bring today.
We few, we happy few, we band of brothers, for he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother.
Interestingly, a lesser known part of the speech also talks about the opportunity for redemption. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition. So that it offers the opportunity that through participating in a noble endeavour, whatever a man's past has looked like, this day shall gentle his condition, that redemption shall be found and his life going forward will be defined by the noble acts that he engages in today, rather than anything else that has previously happened. So Band of Brothers started in Brighton in 2009, and it's the ultimate in a grassroots community-led organisation. It was conceived by a group of men sat in a man's loft having a discussion about, if we do consider this to be a sacred charge, to reach out to the young men in our community, what would that actually look like? What would we do? How would it work? Is it possible? And so we set off on a journey and we committed to making it happen. And so we formed a group. We looked at what's going to work for these young men. Where are they at? Where ideally do we believe that they need to get to that would benefit them? And how can we serve in making that happen? And we received a small amount of money from the lottery and some support from Brighton Council to get that started. We ran a pilot programme which was incredibly successful, and the organisation from there has just grown and grown and grown. And we now operate in Brighton, Crawley and Eastbourne. We're expanding to London this year and also to the Thames Valley. The programme that we offer young men is a 12-week journey. It starts with us reaching out to them after we get their name referred by the probation office. We meet with them and we offer them a really robust challenge to see whether they're really up for changing their lives. And the journey then starts with a hard-hitting 2-day rites of passage residential, on which they get to really look at their life so far and start to vision a future that looks very, very different. They then have a 12-week process of meeting with their mentor once a week. They attend weekly meetings in the community. We support and coach them on achieving the goals that they've set for themselves in their life, whether it's getting a job, whether it's improving the relationships that they have with key people in their lives, whether it's dealing with a habit or a pattern of behaviour that they want to change. And at the end of the 12 weeks, we have a graduation ceremony for them, a homecoming celebration, where we invite the community to welcome them back as new men.
The qualities here are leadership, and I would imagine there's a lot of people who saw leadership qualities in this young man on the weekend.
A past can destroy a man. It could turn someone into a psychopath, you know. It's what turns people into prison and stuff, you know. Their past just kills their mind because they haven't had that support they need.
Yeah, trying to learn coping strategies to deal with my anger and stuff that's happened in the past that sort of triggers my offending behaviour, do you know what I mean?
Most of my life I've just spent in and out of jail, to be honest, like, as well should I. Like, I say that, but for the last 2 years I've been like good, like I've been out of jail for like 2 years now and I've just been like trying to do good, if that makes sense, but it takes a long time to change, like for people, not for you to change, for people to accept that you've changed and trust that you've changed to be able to move on with your life, if that makes sense.
It's much easier to take a drug, steal a car, quick fix, immediate gratification. It's a much more difficult process to form a relationship find a meaningful purpose for your life.
So we believe that society is most at risk from young men with nothing to lose. Whether it is young white men who are committing crime, whether it is young black men who are going into gangs, whether it is young Muslim men who are going off and joining ISIS and fighting in Syria. They all share one thing crucially in common, and that is they do not feel a part of and a place in mainstream society. And we believe that it is our responsibility as adult men in this community to build that bridge, to make sure that those young men feel a sense of belonging to the tribe of our community. If you like, that it's our responsibility as adult men. It's our sacred charge, if you're comfortable with the language, that it is something that is inherently important both for the young men themselves and also for our position in society and for our growth as mature men.
And if I'd have had this before, I don't think I would have went to prison. And that's, do you know what I mean? Because like I've had some structure, someone like, you can come up the allotments on the weekend and come here and, do you know what I mean, chill, relax and talk about stuff.
Just done the weekends, and it's like, ever since then, you know, I've had a decent outlook on life, you know, I see a future now.
And that's what this is about, is creating a community that might not exist there currently for you guys, and we're creating that space for you.
You lot obviously want to stop it happening to us before we get to like your age kind of thing, yeah? So you go for like us, but then when we get it at our age, we're sitting there thinking, well, we could tackle it even that little bit younger.
So in terms of measuring our success, one of the key indicators is whether these young men go on to reoffend. And what we've seen is a self-reported 80% drop in frequency of offending after a Band of Brothers programme. We've seen young men go into sustainable employment. We've seen young men turn around relationships that they never thought they would be able to turn around. We've seen some remarkable achievements of men dealing with deeply ingrained patterns of addiction and behaviour. Not only that, but we've been immensely successful in proving that local men are a key untapped resource in tackling this issue. We've had over 30,000 hours of volunteering time contributed to Band of Brothers. And in a survey that we did, 82% said that they didn't volunteer regularly before a Band of Brothers. So what we're proving is that there is a massive resource out there that, if given the right vehicle, can make a huge and lasting difference within our communities.
And all of a sudden it's like, it's okay to cry. You're more of a man to cry. Definitely. I learned that, definitely.
But everything here is brilliant, but it ain't easy. It gets to points where you get pushed to do stuff, like open stuff up that you don't want to open up, you know? And that's what got me clean on drugs and everything. That's how I stopped everything, because I had so much in here that was locked away and I couldn't let it out because I was afraid.
Well, struggling. I was like quite scared for a bit, so I just stood still, like froze up, didn't know what to do.
The overall context of rites of passage, growing up and being an adult man is the context, but it's a three-stage movement from dependency to independency, to learn to stand on your own feet. And once you've done that, you can learn about interdependency, how we're all dependent on each other in this world. And understand not only that you have a responsibility to participate, but that you have something unique to offer.
So what makes Band of Brothers different is that the programme is 12 weeks long. It's long enough to really embed and sustain the change that the young men are choosing to make for themselves. That's one key thing. The use of volunteers is another. The fact that these men turn up week after week just because they care and they want something to be different in their society is the biggest gift that we can possibly give these young men. What's also different is that we, as a community of men, recognise that all of us are wounded. All of us have our own issues. All of us are struggling to answer the big questions of life of who am I really? What should I do with my life? And is there really any meaning or purpose? And we engage in those questions with the young men. We're not professionals that are working with an object called the client, trying to elicit change in it. We're involved on a journey together.
It's like I'm living the new life that I always wanted to live, you know?
If I want stability in my life.
No, just madness and drugs and alcohol and fucked up shit, yeah.
I've said it to so many people since something that you need to go and do this. Like.
I've sorted my life out. I've done that. Yeah. And I want to be there. Determination.
Who are we? Abandoned Brothers!